Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today, in episode 179, I'm very happy to bring back my returning guests, Elsa Dillon and Becca Dickens. Elsa Dillon is the mother of 8 children with husband Richard Dillon, and they are a family of 10 experiencers. Both Elsa and Richard are international fashion photographers and videographers, shooting celebrities and behind the scenes professionals for magazines and advertising for over 3 decades. This is the Dillons' second incarnation here on Gaia. They are a family of oversouls, all called in together again to incarnate in this realm. They have experienced over 600 beings to date in many forms and multidimensional realms. With their oversoul connections, they receive messages and happenings with the paranormal. My other guest is Becca Dickens, and she is a regenerative farmer and an energy healer. She is co-owner of Regenerative Life Farm in rural central Illinois. The Regenerative Life Farm is home to a chemical-free, no-till, deep compost market garden with magical soil and 300 pastured chickens and cattle. They sell eggs and vegetables to their community and provide education on food as medicine. As an energy worker, Becca offers online sessions using intuition and divine guidance to help people shift energy, heal emotionally and physically, and remember who they are. To find out more about Elsa and Becca, the links are featured below in the description. Thank you for subscribing. Leave me a comment and smash that like button. Today, in episode 179, we will talk about remote intuition. So, without further ado, I will welcome Becca and Elsa to the stage. Hi, how are you guys doing?
Doing well. Thank you, Karen, for having us here.
Hello. Yeah, doing well. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. Lovely to have you both. So, since we all three of us do remote intuitive advice and healing, I thought it would be a good subject for us to dive into. I'm wondering, let's start with Elsa. Elsa, do you want to talk a little bit about how you got started in all of this?
We've sort of been cleaning up our act for over 30 years, but how we actually got started um, was 2020, June the 5th, and two hills kept calling me, and it, they wouldn't leave me alone. And they got pyramid energy, and they're very sacred, and they kept calling and calling and calling, and we started on social media on the same day that we walked on these hills as well, which was June the 5th. And then this is how we brought our story, well, the unveiling of the story, I guess. But we'd been doing it for 30 years, so to us it's just, something, I guess, weird that our family do that we can't really share. And then the crazy lockdown started,
Mhm.
which kind of shapeshifted everybody into being different. And then everyone came out from the woodwork, and I was like, oh, so they're doing it as well. And so then we realised that communities were forming. And this was something that I always dreamed of, shifting to the country when we shifted. We shifted from, suburbia and Sydney up to where we are now on the east coast of Australia. And I thought when we shifted here there would be a lot of community in the country, but it wasn't. It wasn't what I thought it was. But now I'm finding community through spiritual ones. I'm not sure what to call them because everyone's now mishmashed in together, so it's kind of nice. So but I'll say spiritual ones. Yeah, so this community, supporting, sharing, helping family, helping health, and also helping the psyche and working our way through the chaos, because it's very chaotic at the moment. So
Wonderful. And it's your whole family basically awoke to all of you, awoke with these gifts. So I'm sure it's been an amazing process of unfolding for all of you.
well, the process for us is actually meeting others, because we just kept it to ourselves. It was like, you don't talk about that with other people, because we could see how uncomfortable others would become. So we would just do our thing and just, um, we were the different ones, which was okay because we were such a large family, so we were different anyway. Um,
Hmm.
but when we only had 7 children, we were called the Von Troskers. uh, yeah, so we were just different, the different ones. But and then lockdowns happened, and then we started coming out, and people were going, "What? You do what?" I went, "Yeah, we've been doing it for a while." So for us, it's not really anything that we talk about in the family. It's just the most talking has been. Even my kids say, "Mum, you do so much talking." With the interviews and sharing, but
Hmm.
it's the only way to sort of get it out. Otherwise, it's just kept within the family.
Hmm. Wonderful. And Becca, do you want to talk a bit about how you got going in all of this?
Yeah, I love the idea of remote intuition because a lot of my intuitive work is over the phone or with people who aren't physically near me. I do, like you said in the intro, I am on a very busy working farm, and we have 5 markets a week where customers come in and shop for vegetables and eggs at the farm. So I'm dealing with the public a great deal of the time, but when the public isn't here, it's pretty much me and my partner, Jared. My parents live nearby, so I see them, but we're in a very small town and I don't have a community of intuitive, spiritual people on this path at all. And when I started the farm with my partner, Jared, he was really into gardening. I was a nutritional therapist. So I met him kind of where we had a common interest in whole foods and healing people through food as medicine. And so I began doing that just by talking to people about food and what they eat. And my, secret agenda as I'm selling people food and teaching them how to cook the vegetables is that if people eat whole foods, my food and the soil at this farm and the food that we grow, it is energetically charged, extremely powerful, and will help them to awaken and help them to think better. And besides making their bodies healthier, will make raise the vibration of everyone who eats the apple that they buy from me. And so
Hmm.
that was a very strong calling, but I did have a huge as I became more awake and continued to evolve. I love talking about spiritual things. I had a great desire, and I can read people's energy very well. And so, seeing all of these customers all the time, I had things I wanted to tell them, but it's not appropriate. And for many people, it's a private place. People in Illinois, and I'm sure where you live, also, they don't want you to read their energy when they're just trying to buy some potatoes. And so I did work at the time for a national online company, a very large corporation. Luckily, I don't have that job anymore, but I did. And we were allowed to have social groups and have group chats of just kind of common interests. And I was in a group chat of spiritual people, little kind of witchy people like me, secretly in the tech world doing magic. And I started offering to do free energy healings over Zoom for those people in the group, just so I could practice, mostly just so I could, you know, how when you have a gift that starts to come online, it wants to come out, and it's like being gifted musically, and you just have this urge to play the piano, and it has to come out. And so I just wanted to read people's energy and talk to them and try to help them. And it was so much fun. And so I just had that opportunity. It was a great thing that the technology gave me, and Zoom was a great opportunity for me to start doing energy readings. And when I try to explain people to people who are physically near me about how I do it over the phone, they say, don't you need to be in person? And for me now, it's almost easier. I can, even before I start talking to the person, I just tap into their energy. And it's like you can open up a phone line energetically to anyone, anywhere. And just as soon as I see their name, or I just open a connection, and things start flooding in. And so I think that is available to everyone always. But it's such an honor when someone has given me permission that I can just tap in, and the things that I say to them hopefully uplifts the person I'm talking to. It almost always helps me as well. And so it was both an outlet for me, and also a contribution that I felt like I could make.
Wonderful. As for myself, I found that I would just know things. And sometimes I would know things that were really none of my business. And, for the longest time, I kept rationalizing that it was my imagination. And then I just stopped trying to categorize it and analyze it and just let it be. And I actually have very little control over it. It seems to be a spirit-driven thing. So, for instance, if I'm thinking of somebody and I'm thinking that I want to help them in some way, or if they've asked me if I could help them in some way, or they've, confided in me they're having troubles in a certain area, or it could be their health, could be anything. And then when I'm thinking about it, it's like spirit just kind of overtakes me and I just start, for lack of a better word, channeling all this information and ideas, and one thing leads to another. And the more it comes for me with me not trying to think, just letting my mind run free, which I actually love to do. I need to do that every day or I don't feel well. I need to just let my mind run free. And I know that sounds strange, but I think that is actually meditation as well, another form. Anyway, so spirit just lets me know what I need to know. And then I sort of try to organize the information, and then I give it back to the person and let them, do what they want with it. And that just seems to be how it works. So it's kind of like turning on a tap. And I often will do it on Facebook when I see people saying, please pray for me, or I'm having a difficult time, can anyone out there pray for my mother, or anything like that. Then what I tend to do is, it's usually on my phone. Don Rogers at March 4th Productions says, I do the same, Karen. Yeah, I know you do. You're pretty intuitive person, Don, for sure. And then, I'm on my phone, and I'll actually hold my other hand in front of the phone while I just tap into the picture or the name of the person. And it's funny, I can feel a warm sensation in my palm and a buzzing feeling. And at that point, I know I'm sending information somehow through my phone and to them. They don't even know I'm doing it. And sometimes I'll let them know in the comments, and sometimes I don't, just depends on how I feel. But yeah, it's just kind of the way I am, and what I do. So I'm wondering if, Elsa, you want to share a bit about your process, how it works for you, and how do you know when to do it, when not to do it, or is it just your part of your natural life that you don't actually cognitively think about? I don't know. How is your process? How does that happen for you?
Well, it started with being babysat by my mother's mother, my grandmother, and I remember being in the crib, and she would say "sweet dreams," and I say, "Don't say that," because I have bad dreams. And then she said, "Start visualizing something nice." And I was like, "Okay." So this was a childhood. I used to call it the trick, to keep away the monsters at night. I used to, so I would visualize. There's this visualization turned into, really my profession as well. It also was as an art student, it was how I visualized the drawing. So I would the drawing would be complete before I had done it. So then I'd walk into it. This, now I understand, is also a prayer. So you say words or you cast a spell and then you walk into it. And so this is us as ones creating, and we walk into it. This is why it's important, language and the words you say and the mind chatter, because this dictates how you move around. This is why Hollywood and media has been a big thing, because it's me idea. It's in the words, it's me idea. So they know if they are putting out a film or they put out this, it will steer the mass consciousness this way, because they've placed a vision in you. So they've placed a remote view in you in the media. It's funny because I was in the media with my husband. So then I started to realise this was actually, as I got older, and it became interesting to me, because again, this was just something I did. But when I realised that I was visualising being at a certain cafe in a certain outfit with a certain cup, drinking a certain coffee, and then a month later I'm doing that, I'm going, okay, this is a thing in me, but I didn't know it was remote viewing, or I didn't really have names for it. With the children, we call it moment collecting. So there's remote viewing that I've heard in the spiritual, communities, and I hear them say they have a target, or they have to be in a closed room and they get a code word and things, and I always laugh because I always think if they had me in there, it would be just would send them into a spin, because it'd probably open up a few other things that they just didn't want to go there. This whole idea of a target and a mission, that's great, but I agree with what Karen said. It just flows through. So your agenda is fun, yeah, that's great, but the cosmos knows what it wants to present to you. So when you're open to it and you're actually fixating on it, and we call it, so now you become focal. Focal is fae, or the folk call. So when you're tapping into this, it's everything. And the person that you're sharing this with, if they're not in a right frequency, they can't handle it. And I'm sure you both would have noticed this, where we're heading and meeting people like yourselves, is that when we do go to buy a bag of potatoes, we will all be able to do this with each other, and it won't be a thing, it'll just be a way. And this will lift the intelligence of all. And this is, by us sharing now, we're lifting the consciousness, we're growing the superorganism of the consciousness with the cosmos, and we'll become higher breeds. It'll be, and this is what I wish to walk into with my family, this way. So it's very important what we're doing, because it's like a confirmation for many. It'll be like a training or a trigger for many. Yeah, so it's a great topic, Karen. Well done. I really like this topic.
Well, it's funny, because I knew I was having you both on the same show and I wasn't really sure of a topic. So I think I emailed you, Elsa, and said, "Can you think of a topic?" And then it just hit me and I went, "Of course, we all three of us do the same thing, not exactly the same, but close enough." And I thought, well, let's get together and talk about how it works for us and just compare notes. It's really interesting. But I do agree with both of you. I think this is our God-given natural talent and ability. It's just that when we have so much noise and distraction going on in our lives, we're not always conscious of it. And of course, we've been taught that this is the stuff that's in make-believe and fairy stories, and this is not real life, and so then we have our own, what I would call internalized oppression that we also have to deal with. So, Becca, I was wondering if you want to talk a little bit about your process and how it works for you. Do you find sometimes you just know stuff about people, sometimes you wish you didn't know, or are you able to, I don't know, I was going to say fine tune the control. Do you have a knob? I don't know. How does it work for you?
Yeah, I've gotten way more comfortable with it. I think a lot of my life I was trying to suppress it. I can tell, maybe not thoughts, not what people are thinking or what their conscious intentions are, but more how they feel. And it's extremely confusing when you're a little kid to say people, their words are saying one thing, and you know that what's going on with them is the exact opposite. And uh, I I just kind of got the message that I was supposed to go along with whatever mask they were wearing. So I was not supposed to pretend that all I saw was the mask. And it actually was difficult to suppress that. I know you called this remote intuition, which I like a lot. This term remote viewing, I don't know too much about it, but I have heard that there are actual government or three-letter agency types who are trying to do this as spycraft, where they put some psychic, you know, wonderful magical person in a room. I just imagine these gray men in suits with clipboards and the person in the room, and they say, "So go and put your mind's eye into Russia and see what they're up to at this base." And it wouldn't work with me at all, I'm sure. Something would open up and I'm sure I would see some things, but it wouldn't be at all useful. And as Elsa was talking, it just occurred to me, if I was the person in that room and I did somehow say, yes, I see this base in Russia and they have this tank there, or they're making this plan. Let's say I did see something and shared that with them. There are an infinite number of futures and an infinite number of possible universes. And just by me speaking that thing, maybe that would pop up in Russia. That thing that I had viewed, maybe it would exist because I said that it existed and manifested it. And so, yeah, I don't like that kind of remote viewing, but it sounds kind of silly to me, and it sounds kind of like it won't work. I also thought of this. I heard this terrifying term once that was called the bound angel, and that at times there have been mythology and things where people would try to catch an angel and put it in chains so they could keep it and be near it and derive power from it. And that's a little bit about how I think of these gifts. That is it gives me shivers to think about doing something so horrible to ever bind an angel and try to, because being near it would be so wonderful and so powerful. But of course you have to just let it flow where it wants to go. And so
Yeah.
I would never try to contain or direct it in that way. But I do. It's not so much that I have to consciously shut it off. A lot of the time, I try to project love to the people I interact with, and I can really focus on the practical matters of trying to feed them and trying to help them enjoy and love eating the food that I sell them, and just stay on that level. And only if people ask for permission, or like you said, Karen, when someone is asking for help, and I can help. I know that there are things that I can do. If nothing else, I send them well wishes and do a little metta prayer. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. May you awaken and be free. And to just quickly say that prayer, and it changes. Saying that prayer every single time, I believe, helps the person I send it to, and it helps me. It changes my relationship with them. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, but it's something that it needs it. The purpose of this gift, if there is a purpose of a gift, is for us to connect. And like Elsa said, this will not be weird in the near future. This will be how another of the ways that we interact, and that we joyfully come together and create new wonderful things with this kind of connection. So
Thank you for that. Now, I was going to say remote viewing is usually the person's given coordinates, and then they don't even know where those coordinates go to. And then, but you're right, it's in sometimes even the facilities are quite dingy and not a nice environment at all. In fact, the environment is exactly what would shut that down in me. I would need to be out in a field with butterflies and stuff. And I just work on a more spirit directed level where just spirit either brings information to me or doesn't. I'm open and it flows, or I'm not. And I have to be in a state of freedom in order for my gifts to work. I need to feel free, and I need to feel I would say the love harmonic of the universe flowing through me, and then it works. And I can't really explain it, but I have no desire to contain it. Funny you should mention people who try to capture angels. I actually knew someone who did that. And then he tried to sell these devices where he had captured angels, and that creeped me right out. I just intuitively, that hit me the way the concept of slavery hits me. I'm glad you mentioned that because I've never really heard anyone else talk about it, and it's so horrible. So I myself in my life experience have had transdimensional experiences with what I will call extraterrestrials. They're actually transdimensional beings, and I've been able to see firsthand what happens when beings are at the next level of development, where they just are loving and they wish the best for everybody, and they can pass love and healing on just randomly. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. We have so much to learn here on Earth. It just blows me away how and I'm not trying to put my finger on anybody because it's happened to me too in the past, how we can just get caught up in the concerns of life, into the politics of this realm. And really, once I put my mind straight again and understand and start thinking and feeling and using my natural abilities, life just works. Things just work out. I can't explain it. Things come to me, things happen, and it's quite a magical world that we live in. So before we get into this topic a little bit more, I have a very short promotion I'd like to play now. And so we'll give you everybody about a 2-minute break, and then we will I don't know what just happened, but I ended up kicking myself off the podcast. So I'm back now, and I'm going to try this short promotion again. And I have no idea what happened. I might have gotten trigger happy. It's hard to tell. Hi guys, break time for a short message. YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content, and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double-charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When Orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show. So I was thinking maybe to pick up from where we left off. If you gals have any ideas on how this process actually works. And I thought I'd start with you, Elsa. Do you have any idea on how this process works? The mechanics of it or anything like that? Has any of that ever been revealed to you?
It's great because your little commercial just triggered me.
Oh, I hope in a good way.
Yeah, a great way. So Orgonite is gift ones, and this is what we have to realize we are, is like an Orgonite, and we actually call them orgons. So we use them as well, and they're fantastic. So please research Orgonites because they're great. They do amazing things, and we've had amazing things happen from them. Now, being a gift one, if you don't realize you're a gift one, this will just wipe over you. You won't catch the frequency of this. If you're excited by this, this is a calling for you to realize that this word miracle is molecule, and you are that. You're a container of many molecules walking around, and every time you go and buy a bag of potatoes, you're engaging with another miracle, and there's opportunities there, opportunities of healing, opportunities of frequencies to come in together. And so if you can get into this headspace of yourself, a lot starts to change. So then you will have gifts come to you because you're a miracle. Can you see what I'm saying? We've been told you're not that, you're not that, you're not that. Sit up straight, do this at this time. Even remote viewing, which is a gift. A trained gift on some, yeah, that's fine. But if it is a gift and you're put into an environment that's not pleasant and told coordinates that aren't fun. Why? What? So this becomes circus. And this is where we've been warned. If things become circus, or they're clowns, or they're clones, it generally has the spin of what they've been forcing on us over the last few decades, and it doesn't have a nice frequency to it. It just feels icky. This is how we describe it. It just, does it feel nice? Doesn't feel good. Does it have a calling for you? Or if it's forced, the message that might come across will be tainted. And generally, we found if it's forced, it will fail. And it's usually done for different causes as well. And the causes don't feel genuine. And they don't sound like a violin being stroked, or that noise that the fairies make with the harp. I bring this playfulness to it because if it doesn't have a playful feel to us, if it has a heavy feel, it generally will fail. It just gets too heavy. And the heavy has been broadcast for so long. And it's not necessary now.
Mm-hmm. Becca, what's your take on how it works, or the possible mechanics? And maybe you can't even describe it in those terms, so please feel free to branch off. Any way you want to express yourself is great.
Yeah, when you said that, I was thinking about gardens, and there is an actual network of mycelium fungus that lives in healthy soil. It's also in healthy forests. In the forest, some people call it the wood wide web because there's a net running through the soil. And this is proven scientifically. In forests, they can see that older trees will send nutrients through this network to younger trees that are struggling to get established. The older trees will help the younger trees. In a garden, in a row of radishes in my garden, if a little bug starts attacking the leaves of a plant at one end of the row, that plant, I don't know the details of the mechanics, but its chemical codes, it actually sends a message to all the plants in the row through this network, mycelium network, uh, faster than light. It sends it at the quantum level and communicates to all the other radishes. If you have any compounds that you can start producing that repel this bug, look out, this bug is coming. And maybe that one little radish plant even sacrifices itself. It puts a lot of energy into sending out this message to the other plants in the row, and the bugs attack that plant as it gets more and more unhealthy and finally dies. But the other plants then are able to survive and fight off this bug. And the bug kills one plant or a couple of plants in the row, and everybody else is fine. Same thing with chickens that live in a flock. I have a large flock of chickens. Their eyes are, at least some of them, are always watching the sky. If a shadow passes over one of them, she makes a sound that all the other ones hear instantly, and they run for cover. Or if they are too far away to get into cover, they gather together and make a big ball of chicken that no hawk can get. And I think the mechanics work somehow with this kind of web. And it may be in the earth, because I'm very into gardening. I'm very attuned to the earth. And besides this mycelium network, I think a lot of us know that there's a grid, some kind of energetic grid. I see it just like the matrix lights, rows, a checkerboard of lights that runs underneath the soil. And again, I just see these messages traveling at the speed of light or faster, anywhere on the earth, connected to each other. And and I think it's not, of course, it would be overwhelming and completely confusing if it's a net, we're all connected to everything. It's way too much information of everything, but it all is about resonance. And so if I at a vibrational match with someone or something anywhere, there is no distance. We can immediately connect. And I think I just see it whizzing through the wires, just like an old-fashioned telegraph machine or something. I was also thinking about falling in love with someone who doesn't love you. This has to happen. We are meant to be together. There is no force in the universe that can make that relationship happen. And usually years later, you realize, oh, thank goodness that didn't happen. That was not right at all. There was nothing that would have brought those two people together. Even if all of their families said this is the perfect match, nothing would bring them together. And if there's someone that's completely improbable, that's on the other side of the world, and you don't know how you ever even met, when you meet, there's no force in the world that could keep you apart. You could be from two countries at war. If you're meant to come together, you are magnetized. It's why I'm so excited to get to talk to people like both of you, that we magnetized each other. We are here because we're a vibrational match with each other, and we're able to hear each other and make this match. So the mechanics, it's not a very scientific explanation, but that's how I think it works.
Wow, I think it's a very good explanation, because I also believe we operate on some levels outside of time and space. They did some experiments with the different chakras, the 7 primary chakras that are fairly well known. And they realized that our chakras are sending out transmissions through biophotonic energy. A lot of people don't realize we have a light body. We produce light, and we produce biophotonic energy. So our root chakra, which is represented by red, it travels at the speed of light times the speed of light. So to the exponent of 2, to the power of 2. But the next chakra, which is the sacral chakra, it actually transmits 4 times, not 4 times, but the speed of light times the speed of light times the speed of light times the speed of light. That's how fast. And then as we go up through the chakras, it's just a ridiculously uh, really short wavelength and super fast. So what's interesting, and what's tied into what both of you have spoken of, is that depending on which chakras are freely flowing and open, and this depends on taking care, in my opinion, of the temple body as to how high, our frequencies can go. And so really, it's instant. We're communicating with ourselves. We're communicating with other forces in the universe. You could call it God. You could call it angels. You could call it ET. Lots of things. And the more frequency we can hold, I think 2 things happen. One is that we can deliver information and gather information anywhere in the universe, which, I mean, just our galaxy, when you think about how big that is, it's mind-boggling. And how many galaxies are in this universe? Like, it's just, so we have to use methods that are beyond time and space, but I also think that's our birthright. And I agree with what both of you have said as well. So experiments have actually shown this to be true, although it's hard to find the data, because a lot of that has been scrubbed, from the internet. And I actually have a playlist called The Nature of Reality, and I've got a 4-part video. I didn't do it. I actually copied it and put it up on YouTube with a disclaimer that I didn't know who produced this information, or I would happily give them credit, but the information was important enough. I wanted to put it up. So there is a playlist on my channel on YouTube called The Nature of Reality, and it gets into a lot of these experiments. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting, how it all works. Now, these are all just different interpretations of how it works. We're trying to use words that we've been taught and concepts that we understand in a world that denies that any of this exists. So we don't really have language for it. So we filter it and through our own experience, and then we share it to the best of our ability. So, but I think everything that you both have said has been extremely relevant. I'm just going to quickly turn to the chat for a minute. Don Rogers at March 4th Productions says, Spinja and I just realized Karen joined her and I as interdimensional exit buddies, and Karen joined us in transdimensional unison because she and I are both transdimensional. Thank you, Dawn, for saying that. Yeah, Dawn has had transdimensional experiences. I've had transdimensional experiences. Once you cross over and find out you're capable of doing that, the sky's the limit. It's just quite a magical world we live in, and the people we connect with and the things we start to see. It's just really, really lovely. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says, we talk telepathy with trees, plants, rocks, Bigfoot, giants, anywhere in the world, anytime. We talked to our giant we talked to our giant one time in a cave under the Pacific Ocean. Well, there you go. You see, we're all part of this amazing world. But we live in these societies, and especially if we live in the cities, where we're just see concrete and streets and politics, and oh my gosh, it can just sort of squeeze out all the magic. And what a dreary world that would be if that were all there was. So thank God I've got friends like you, Becca, and Elsa, where we can talk about you know so much more beyond the veil that's absolutely real, and nobody can take that away from us. So I just think it's just fascinating. So I'm wondering, we still have some time left. I'm wondering, Elsa, can we bring you back, and can you share with us a little bit about the services that you offer through your website?
We have spinbeings.com, and we share our video links for shorts of interviews that we've done, and we just present the information as triggers or clues to what's going on, or how to decipher things. And we do sessions for people who we get a lot of people sending us messages or emails, and they're personal. So sometimes, like I said, you ask us to come forth, you call us, and then we bring forth the information. So we don't choose to do that with audiences or chat groups, because sometimes the information they're not sometimes quite ready for, but it comes through. So yeah, that's why we do it on a more personal level. But besides that, we just keep going on with our day-to-day and sharing the outcomes that we have through the day. And this seems to help and heal more and more. So, whenever I think, oh, maybe I should pull back and, not share the information, my mouth gets sore and I get sore teeth. So I know that I have to speak out, and then my teeth get better. So it's just like, keep going. It's like the pain of the body or the health of the body always helps guide me as well. So I class this as a clue or a gift. Keep going. Keep going. It's working. Keep going. Thanks, Karen.
Wonderful. And Becca, do you want to share a little bit about your service available on your website?
Yeah, I'd love to. I also do sessions. I call them energy healing sessions, but it's a informal, whatever comes forth with the person I'm talking to. And you can find those on my website, which is regenerativelife.farm.com. It's a fun website because it's a mishmash. It has some pages that are just for local people to see what we have for sale that week and what's happening on the farm. But also some good information about regenerative farming and a blog about how to do that. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can read about it. But there's also an energy healing page that has a way to book sessions. And I just have set up some intentions and a little bit of magic on that page so that people will be attracted to it if it will benefit them to talk to me. And if not, I think your eyes will pass right over it. And so just the perfect people in just the right amounts of people and in the right timing find their way to me and book a session, no more and no less. And it benefits both of us. If you feel drawn to it, if you feel a little resonance with me, then check out the page. And if you feel moved to book, it will be a benefit to you. And other than that, I talk on podcasts sometimes, and I have linked those also on the website. So you can see me talking either about farming or about this kind of stuff. I love what Elsa said about you just kind of put things out there and they can act as happy triggers for people, good triggers, a little guideposts. And that is how my awakening happened, is other generous souls exposed some of themselves, shared some of their inner selves with the world. And I saw it at just the right time. My hand reached for a book in a bookstore, or somebody said something to me, or I had a contact, and that can change the whole course of someone's life. So I'd love for anything I do. And, the people that I meet who come to the farm, I try to do the same thing, just make a connection. And it's 1 in 20 people, but if you're in person, and sometimes you can look into someone's eyes and you can see the soul in there. And when you're able to see that, I just take a moment and look in their eyes and think, yes, I see you. I see you in there. And they can look back and see me. And so that is also part of my work. And yeah, so try a session if you would like to, if you think you might resonate. And definitely, I wanted to mention that I have had a generous offer of a session with Karen, which I did take her up on. And it was very beneficial to me, both on a practical level and on my spiritual journey. So I would say check out all 3 of our websites, and you'll find something that resonates, and you'll know the right one to book something with.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that, Becca. Yeah, it was a great pleasure. It was quite interesting how it happened with Becca. We just sort of, she sent me a short email. I usually ask people to send me an email outlining what their issue is, so I have time to think about it and tap in, and tune in before we meet. And I just got this flood of information from Source. I couldn't stop it. And I just kept writing things down and writing things down. And I thought, I'm being ridiculous here. It's a little bit embarrassed to even tell you about some of it, but I thought it can't hurt. And you don't have to take it all. You can just take what serves you and throw the rest away. But it was a lovely experience for me. I really got a lot out of it, actually. And yeah, so I don't know what to say. All I know is that we operate outside of time and space. So anyone who contacts Becca or Elsa or myself, and you need some assistance with something, our goals are never to make you dependent on us. That's not what we're about. But we're able to tap in with remote intuitive insights, and we just can do it. And again, it might have something to do with a mycelial type network, as Becca has described. What's funny about that is there's actually a Star Trek series, one of the more recent ones, I believe it's Discovery, where they actually travel through a mycelial web through time and space. I don't know if any of you've seen it. It's really cool. But it is very much like what you described today, Becca. And I think the whole point is we want to become the change that we want to see in the world. And we also want to offer to human beings, but also to the planet, the animals, to the rocks, to everything. We want to offer our love and our insights because it's not that hard to create a world that's more natural and more beautiful and more loving. It's not that hard. We just need enough of us tapping in and refusing to give up to what I call the construct. Anyway, I've rambled on enough here. I would like to take another chance for Elsa and Becca to come back on to talk about any final thoughts you have, any advice you have, anything you want to say to the world, and also where can people find you. Before we do that, I just want to quickly connect with the chat here. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot said, I was late, but I enjoyed the small bit I caught. Thank you all so much for sharing your time. Much love. And Canadian Spin just said, thank you all. So helpful. So I'm really happy to hear that people are benefiting from our discussions because that's why we do it. We don't do this just to hear ourselves talk. We want to be a blessing on the planet. So I'm wondering, Elsa, would you like to come back on and talk about any final thoughts you have, anything you want to speak to the world? And please tell us again where people can find you. It's really important, especially those that are listening on audio. And of course, all the links will be in the description below.
And so I'm going to end on a fun note. You guys brought up bound angels, and so now I'm going to give you a remote view experience right here. So remote view, the first thing when I heard bound angels is I got the film Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters needs to be respun. Ghostbusters is in the city, which you spoke about, Karen, and there's a lot of concrete. There's energies in everywhere, even if they're layered. And with the mud floods, there's been many layers, as they're discovering now. Wow, there's a city under here. Anyway, there's many layers everywhere. And this is the same with the crop circles. Ghostbusters, I'm bringing up as they are bound angels. They're going in and they're catching spirit and they're putting them in a box. And this was shown in a humorous way with the media. And they wanted you to understand that it's us against them, us against the ghosts, us against Zeus, us against these energies, which were held at these locations. And a lot of them were like at libraries and things like this, or museums where they'd been trapped. These ghosts seemed hostile because their energy was contained for too long. And if this happens with energy contained too long, which is what's happened to society at the moment, it becomes chaotic and it has a weird frequency to it. But once you understand it, it isn't us against them. It isn't Ghostbusters. It isn't bounding an angel. And it does have a horrible feel to it. It feels like you're squishing a fairy. It's not nice. So when you then realise that this has been fed to us to be us against them, male against female, us against ghosts and evil spirits and deities, when you actually take off that, go before this message, go before these moments of that, it's not Ghostbusters. It's ghost gates, it's ghost healing, and you understand that that scary ghost that you're seeing, if you're clean with your way, with your cells, this ghost shapeshifts. And it's depending on how the power of observation is from you. And this is what remote viewing is, this is what intuition is. It's where your molecules are at that moment. Will depend on how they look. So, yeah, thank you. Because I used to love this film Ghostbusters, but now I don't think it's that friendly. I think it's mean. So,
Yeah, awareness really shifts our perceptual universe, doesn't it, Elsa? Elsa, where can people find you?
oh yeah, just I'm on YouTube and it's beenbeans.com and Facebook. Facebook, a lot of people like talking on Facebook. I also comment on like shows like Karen's. I have a lot of people that I love going back on their shows, and sort of I feel like it's a community. I feel like Karen's down the road on the farm with me. So, yeah, I'm always commenting on your shows and stuff because I get great things from them. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to know you. Such a pleasure to be able to share space with you. Oh my God. Both of you, you've changed my life for the better, and I appreciate both of you so much. Becca, do you have any statements or advice or just
Yeah,
reflections you'd like to share? And then please tell people again where they can find you.
that was amazing, Elsa. Thank you. Okay. So what I wanted to say as my closing notes was to encourage people to focus on their strength and to focus on the goodness of their hearts. It's okay to see the darkness in the world, but we need to focus on our strengths. And it's so, that sounds so hard to say, but what Elsa said, okay, when I think of a bound angel, I see myself in chains. I see that angel in chains crying and so disempowered, and it makes me so angry and sad and makes me so weak. And if I think of being the person who helps bust the angel free, that helps to free that angel with love and just open my heart and just watch the chains fall away and the angel go wherever she wants to go, like that, it makes me feel so empowered. And so anyone who's listening to this, you have the power that you need. You are stronger than the darkness that you see around you. It's just that easy. We can flip it that easy from just feeling that the darkness. We can just flip it and say, "Well, I'm setting her free. I don't like that angel being bound, and I don't know who bound her, but I'm setting her free. This is wrong." And so focus on the parts of you that are the best, and the parts of you that are the strongest and the most healed. And those can be things that are the goofiest parts of you, or the funny parts, or the tender parts. And so those are our greatest strength. Thank you for this opportunity to be in a space with both of you. My heart is bursting.
Oh, our pleasure too. So tell us again, Becca, where people can find you.
regenerativelife.farm.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, one last comment I just want to show here. Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says, I asked my son what he talks through. He said lightning before we can see it. I thought that was such a beautiful thing. I had to share that before we say goodbye. So again, I appreciate you both very, very much. Thank you for coming on the show. I hope you'll come back. And anytime you get a topic that pops up for you, send me an email and we'll do a show about it. And yeah, this has been, oh, my heart's just bursting with joy right now. I feel so good after spending time with both of you and the audience. I want to thank the listeners and the viewers so much, even if you're watching the replay or if you're here in the live chat, sending you all much love, much joy. And let's change this world by just refusing to buy into the BS and create something beautiful, because it's our birthright. And it's not that hard to do. This is the thing. We just got to stop giving our energy to those that are not improving reality and start giving our energy to those that do. And just by shifting away from and onto something better, we no longer feed that system, and it just will dissolve. And I know some people think it's wishful thinking, but I truly believe this to be real. So we'll see everybody next week. Thanks again to the guests, and thank you so much for joining me on the Quantum Guide Show, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.